Good afternoon. I'm here with Dr. Sham Nambulli and Dr. Natasha Tilston-Lunel at the University of Pittsburgh Center for Vaccine Research. Dr. Nambulli is a staff research scientist and laboratory manager, and Dr. Tilston-Lunel is a postdoctoral research associate. Both are part of a team working on a vaccine for SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19. Well, welcome both of you. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're really glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Let's start with telling us a little about yourselves and the team you're working with. Natasha, you want to tell us a little bit about who you are and your background and who you're working with?
So I'm Natasha Tilston, and I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the Center for Vaccine Development here at Pittsburgh. I have a PhD in molecular virology from the University of St Andrews and the Center for Virus Research at Glasgow, Scotland. After graduating in 2016, I joined Professor Paul Dupre's lab at Boston University before transferring with him here to Pitt. So Paul's currently the director for the Center for Vaccine Research and is the one leading our efforts to develop a COVID-19 vaccine here at Pitt. So I guess for me it's been really exciting and also I'd say a privilege to be mentored by Pitt and also by Paul and to be part of a team of several scientists here at the CVR who are working really, really hard to solve this issue. And my main role in all of this has been to design and engineer a new COVID-19 vaccine by using the measles vaccine as a vehicle. Apart from that, I'm also involved in helping out with animal model development and also in obtaining genomic sequences for this new coronavirus.
Great. And Sham, how about you?
Hi, I'm Sham Nambulli. I'm a staff research scientist here at CVR, which is the Center for Vaccine Research at University of Pittsburgh. And I also have a PhD. I did my PhD from United Kingdom, Queen's University of Belfast. And I've also done a master's in medical microbiology from London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, again from UK. I do have several years of experience in both clinical and research field of virology. And I joined CVR with Paul Dupre in December 2018. And since then, I've been working as like a staff research scientist, but now I work with coronavirus vaccine research. My work is basically focusing on measles as a vector to develop a novel coronavirus vaccine. But I'm also involved in studying the characteristics of this new virus and also the pathogenesis in different animal models. And as Natasha said, Dr. Paul Dupre is our CVR director, and he's, as you know, he's quite famous and he's all over the news talking about the coronavirus vaccine and the research we are conducting here at CVR. And so it's definitely a real good pleasure to work with him. And also everyone in the center, which is the CVR, Center for Vaccine Research, everyone is well-established scientists here and they all contribute equally to this project. And I'm very happy to work with all of them and in the Center of Vaccine Research at University of Pittsburgh.
Oh, that's great. We're really glad to have you both here, and we're really glad to have you in Pittsburgh working on this because clearly I think this has been something that no one has expected. I mean, I don't think anyone really understood the problems that this was going to cause and the severity of this outbreak. So it's nice to know that we have some clearly very experienced and qualified people working on it. So at the Science Center, we are all about making sure that everyone out in the public knows scientists and understands the work that they do and can really understand that what you're giving to this community. And so we just wanted to talk to you about your work so that we can help. I think there's a lot of misinformation going around about COVID-19 and so it's great to be able to talk to you directly to understand more about this chase for a vaccine for COVID-19. So Natasha, can we start with you and can you tell us a little bit about what exactly this project is?
Well, the project has different parts to it. Okay, it's a big project and we have a lot of different things running parallel to each other, which means we also have a lot of different teams working on this. This allows us to move as fast as possible. One of the arms of this project is vaccine development, and this is where Sham and I spend probably 80% of our time. And this part of the project involves using the measles vaccine. So the measles vaccine is an attenuated form of measles virus, and this is safe and it's already in use for vaccination in children. So using this measles vaccine, we're engineering it to carry a bit of SARS coronavirus 2, so we can now make a a new COVID-19 vaccine. Also, what we're doing is using measles vaccine, which is safe, to make surrogates for SARS coronavirus 2. This allows us to then transfer various assays, which we would normally do at high containment level, down to a lower containment level. So it makes things a lot easier for us. Apart from this, we're also involved in animal model development. We're using hamsters, ferrets, non-human primates. And the reason we're doing this is so we can establish a good animal model, which allows us to then understand disease. And once we have this good model, we can use it to study our vaccine candidates. So that's basically the project.
Okay. And so this development of the vaccine using the measles, Sham, can you tell us a little bit about how these two together will help with fighting COVID-19?
Sure. So as Natasha was saying, we know that measles vaccine is very successful and it has been using for years and years, and we know that it's pretty safe and it's been showing like really good results in the measles infections, the reduction in the measles infection all over the world. So what we are doing is we are just taking a piece of coronavirus, the COVID-19, the gene of the virus, and inserting that into, literally basically cut and paste into our measles vector vaccine strain. And then what we are trying to do is we are trying to actually put this into different animal models and see if this virus, this vaccine vector virus is actually producing a lot of immune cells to fight against the coronavirus. Since it's a vector vaccine, it should trigger both the T cell immunity and the antibody immunity. What it basically means is it actually trigger our immune system so that it produce a lot of defense cells and tackle the virus. But being said that, we still need to make sure that it is still safe and it mounts a good immune response in our body against this coronavirus, and it is pretty safe,
Okay. Well, that brings up another good point. I know a lot of the information that we've heard is about the timeline for developing something like this. I've heard everything from optimistically a few months to realistically a year plus to pessimistically much, much longer than that. So what exactly, Natasha, is the process for getting a vaccine approved? How does that happen? And what are the steps? So it sounds as if you have something that you're trying out right now and has potential, but what are the steps to get from where you are right now to getting something that's actually available to the public?
Well, under normal circumstances, getting any virus approved is long, and it takes many, many years. And there are various stages that are involved. I mean, there's the exploratory phase, there's the preclinical stage. We actually hope that we would get into the preclinical stage by next month. But then there's the clinical development, regulatory review, approval, manufacturing, quality control. There are various different stages. In the clinical development stage itself, there are about 3 phases. Phase 1 is where you take a small group of healthy individuals, and these are usually, they're volunteers, and you test the safety of your vaccine and different doses on them. And if this goes well, you then take your vaccine to what we call the phase 2. And now this includes a lot more people, and then you include the intended demographic for your vaccine, and you cover various ages and health groups. If this is a success, you then go on to phase 3, which involves thousands of people, and you test your vaccine again for safety and efficacy. And it's the US Food and Drug Administration that regulates this process and sets guidelines to ensure the safety of a vaccine. And there are lots of research that has to go into this. You have to know the type of immune response that can be generated from your vaccine. You need to know the dose required. You need to know whether a booster is required, and if so, how often. You need to know what the side effects are. You need to know what the differences are between non-vaccinated and vaccinated people. You then need to put all this together and see whether the benefits of this vaccine outweigh your risks. And you need to do this at every step in the process. Obviously, this is a different scenario, and I think it was Dr. Anthony Fauci who said we can accelerate this process for 18 months. And this is possible, and we could do this if we combine the various stages and have things running in parallel. There are already a dozen vaccine candidates in the pipeline. So it is possible, but we do need to be patient, and it will take time because developing a safe vaccine is what's important.
I don't think as humans we like being out of control and we want everything to happen right away, and patience certainly not one of my virtues, but I know that a lot of people kind of have this hope that there will be a vaccine developed in the next few months, and it just sounds like that's really more wishful thinking than reality.
Yeah. One good thing is that it's brought the scientific community together like never before. So there is hope.
Yeah, it seems like there are lots of people working on it for sure. It's the challenge of the time for certain.
Yeah.
I just want to pivot a little bit and learn a little bit more about the two of you. So Sham, how did you get into this work? Was there something that inspired you to go into virology?
I always was very interested with virology or viral infection. These days, the vaccines are getting better, but there is less treatment options. There is no much antiviral drugs other than some HIV drugs you can think of and some hepatitis. But more or less, if you take even the flu, it's pretty fascinating. I find these small, tiny creatures making it such big issues. So I just want to learn more about it, and that's why I wanted to pursue my career in virology and took a PhD in virology.
And how about you, Natasha? Obviously, you're both doing work that's really important, just in its most basic level. But is there something that is personally meaningful to you about the work that you do?
I don't know. I think everything that we do, and I think what we do, gives me a sense of fulfillment and purpose, knowing that I'm contributing something. And like Sham said, I've always enjoyed science and I've always enjoyed learning new things. And I think with the job we do, every day we learn something new. Even when something doesn't work, you learn something. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I think most scientists do see their job as a hobby. And at least for me personally, if that changes, I might go do something else.
Okay.
My first academic job actually was as a research assistant at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. And that was actually during the 2009 H1N1 influenza pandemic. There I was involved in setting up an online influenza surveillance system for the UK. And it's called Flu Survey. You can go check it out. And we use that to monitor influenza spread in real time. And I was also involved in coordinating surveys for schools, at schools to understand contact behavior amongst school children. And all that was really important for decision making during that pandemic. And the same is true now. So this work, what we're doing, is important. And I think that feeling is extremely rewarding to me.
So my background is in physics, and I fell in love with science. I can think about specific things from when I was a kid that really made me love science. And for me, one of the experiences was learning about acids and bases in chemistry. And then my friend Jim and I going and mixing ammonia and Drano in a glass jar in his driveway and watching it bubble and ultimately explode. I was wondering do either of you have like a specific memory from your youth that made you fall in love with science?
I was always interested in biology, and whenever we talk about we study about human biology or disease, and particularly disease and infections and things like that, I get very excited about it. And I always knew, even in those days, that I want to pursue a career only in these sort of life science.
Like Sham said, I guess I've always been interested in biology. And actually, to be honest, I wanted to be a doctor, not a scientist. In school, I had a really good biology teacher. And biology just fascinated me and seemed to make more sense to me than anything else. And I actually grew up in India, and instead of pursuing a medical degree, I did a Bachelor of Science degree in microbiology, zoology, and chemistry. It's just during that degree I had an opportunity to be exposed to different scenarios where I got to see what cancer did, AIDS and TB, tuberculosis did, and it just, I guess, stuck with me a lot. When I think back, that's kind of what drives me to do what I do. And if there's another person who inspired me, I guess, would be my master's supervisor. But when I met him, he was studying infectious diseases and looking at how to model them. And I was just fascinated by how he used geographic information systems to model these infectious diseases. Together, we mapped how mosquito-borne chikungunya virus could potentially spread in Europe. And from there on, I was like, this is what I want to do, research. And I just kind of stuck onto it. And that's what I'm doing now, studying these viruses, and they still fascinate me.
Really, it's amazing how the right teachers or the right mentors can steer you in a specific direction. And I think that the power of the right educator at the right time can't ever be overstated. So,
definitely.
So as you're thinking about your careers and how you got there, part of what we do at the Science Center is we look to inspire the next generation of people like you who will be challenging the next set of challenges and pandemics and whatever else lies ahead for humanity. And if you could say something to these, kids as they're thinking about potential careers in science, do you have any advice for them? Like things they should be thinking about, things they should be focused on, anything you'd like to tell them, or you would tell your former selves?
I think these days things are a little bit more easier than when I was, after my schools, what I want to become or how I approach things. And again, I'm also from India, so things it's not that straightforward, but nowadays it's much better. But here, I would actually recommend, more than an advice, I would recommend or suggest kids that if someone is interested in physics or chemistry or biology, there is a lot of opportunity. You can also go to a physics lab and see what's happening there and whether, is this what you want to do? I think the best thing to do is if you are interested in something, let's say biology, it's always good to go to a biology lab and get a 1 week, orientation or kind of just an observation thing in a lab that really helps and make up your mind and see whether you want to do this or this is what a day-to-day life of a scientist or a researcher in a university setup or industry setup or a medical setup or, I think that's the easiest thing to know, whether you want to step into that career in your future.
Try and meet people who are doing it now and get an idea before you jump in with both feet. Sounds like good advice. Natasha, you have any advice?
Yeah, I'm with Sham on that. Do what you really want to do. If something fascinates and you're passionate about, follow that. But it is a hard career. I mean, we have a lot of failures more than successes, but every success that you have, I think that makes up for the several failures you have. Yeah, and you learn a lot. So if you're someone who enjoys learning, then it's definitely the field to be in. But as Sham said, I think nowadays kids have a lot more opportunities to get in touch with scientists. If you come and talk to someone like me or Sham, we're young scientists and we're more than happy to talk to the kids and give advice. We're all a friendly bunch and accommodating.
You seem friendly.
So yeah, do what makes you happy.
We are pretty friendly. Yeah.
But I think it is important to find out more about the field, read up, and I don't know, talk to as many people as possible.
Well, at the Science Center, one thing we actually have programs throughout the year that are designed to connect school-age children with people like you. So we invite scientists and engineers and STEM professionals and people who are doing the kind of work that you're doing. We invite them to come to the Science Center and spend a day or so there. And then we have school groups come in to be able to just meet and talk to people like you so they can learn more about how you got to where you were, and I think also seeing people who are, sometimes there's this feeling that scientists are
a crazy bunch with lab coats on.
Exactly. They're different than everybody else.
People.
Exactly. They're different than everybody else. And so they're not approachable. So I think getting to meet people like you who are real people and, practicing young professionals, I think is a really great way. It helps kids to see that it's possible for them too. So I think it's great that they get to meet people like you. And that's why I'm really grateful that you're here talking with them today. So I just have one last question for you. Do you have any advice, just to go back to the whole COVID situation that we find ourselves in right now? I know a lot of people are fearful and thinking about how to stay safe and, we're all under a stay-at-home order, and there's orders to wear masks and other things. Do you have recommendations for people about how to stay safe? Because ultimately we all have to go out of our houses sometimes. So what are the best ways to keep safe when you're out of your house in this situation?
Just continue doing what you're doing. You have to practice social distance, unfortunately, for a long time. Go out only when required. Go out for exercise. Wear masks when you're out in public. Maintain distance between people. Continue washing those hands, because I think that's really important, and I think it's something I hope we continue to do once this is all over as well. Don't panic. If you have symptoms, isolate yourself. Let people know, people you've been in contact with know. Monitor your symptoms and seek medical advice if it gets worse. So I think we have to continue what we're doing for a long time, unfortunately, until at least we have a vaccine.
Okay. Sham, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, as Natasha said, I think we just have to do what we are doing all these days now, and we just follow the guidance given by the public health officials, and we will wait till we hear from them saying that everything is safe now, which again, we don't know. It's going to be like a very unpredictable thing. But until then, we just have to maintain the social distance, washing hands for sure, use sanitizer, and then go out only when it is really necessary, because if the day is nice, it's not a good thing actually these days to go out unnecessarily.
Right. I guess it's patience, right? We just have to kind of.
Yeah. Just be patient.
Be patient and stay home.
Well, I said that was my last.
And don't panic.
I have one more very practical question, and this will be a short answer. Do I need to wipe my groceries down when I get back? Do I need to wipe them down with sanitizer?
Well, good question, and
yeah.
It's also pretty like you as you can imagine, whenever you buy fruits, you never know that the other person has touched the fruit or not. So definitely wash things, like if you're really worried, what I would do is take like all other packs, these fruits and all that, you can just wash with water, or maybe even salt water is good. I know that some people even go to an extent that they wash their vegetable with soapy water. I don't think that's necessary, but if you're really worried, you can wipe your grocery, the things which comes with a cover, you can wipe those covers with like maybe a tissue, or like with light soap.
I had the same question when I was going to the grocery shop when this was happening. Do I need to wash down each apple that I take?
I know it feels so weird to do it, but then I see other people talking about it and doing it, and I don't know. I don't want to be behind the curve, but it seems very time consuming.
I think the worry will be that how many people have touched those apples. Sometimes the people take it and then they're like, okay, I don't want it, and then keep it back.
Right. Thank you both very much. I'm really glad that you could spend a little time with us today, and I'm going to be hitting you up to come to the Science Center when we have some kids in. So I hope that you'll say yes. So I want to thank Dr. Natasha Tilston-Lunel and Dr. Sham Nambulli for joining us today. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for all the.
Thank you very much. And anyone can email us or get in touch. Our email address should be in our CVR website. And if anyone wants to know anything about science-related question, please feel free to email us.
That's great. Thank you that's very generous of you, and thanks for the amazing work that you're doing on behalf of all of us here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.